So this is the puzzle of Jupiter. I mean, King Solomon's tales were King Solomon supposedly the greatest, wisest ruler ever. It's a good example. There's many mythologies that go along with Jupiter, but there was the king was there, and two women both gave birth on the same night. One woman's baby died, and the other woman's baby was alive. In the morning, both women were saying the living baby was theirs, and the one that died was the other person's. There's a big fight over this. Which one? The dead one who's died wanted the other baby, had the envy of it. The one whose baby it was didn't have the one that died. No, and what's fair? So after going through the courts, they finally bring these two women to King Solomon to try and solve this. Who should be punished? Who shouldn't be? Who's honest? Who's not? So King Solomon takes the baby, holds the baby up and takes his sword, and just goes to cut the baby in half. Just cut it right in half. And just as he's about to do this, the real mother says, don't kill the baby, don't kill the baby. Whereas the mother whose baby already died wouldn't say anything. And then he knew which mother was the real mother, and he gave the baby to the one who wanted him to stay alive. Hence, this was one of the stories of the wisdom of Solomon. How do you judge between what's right or wrong, what's a good action and what's a bad action? What seems good to the local group or in a personal way may have negative effects to others. You know, so if you're being active and you're having fun, but it's careless and you knock over something that burns down a house or causes an accident, or you're driving faster, you're cutting in and out and it causes an accident, you're going faster, but you just hurt some other people. And which understanding, does the understanding have to be adjusted? Was it right? Was it wrong? Did you learn from things? What did you get away with? What did you pay off? In the end, whatever you put out comes back. Whatever good you do comes back. Whatever bad you do comes back. That Saturn is the result. But the understanding of karma, what you put out comes back. What you don't put out, that comes back too. So you're responsible for every thought, every action, every desire. Do you understand this? Whoa, almost enough to make us afraid to do anything. However, we can justify doing anything in the same way. So just go for it, try it, learn from it. You can't accomplish anything without learning something, without making some mistakes first. So usually when you're studying something, you become the apprentice or the student, and you learn little things, and you try and do some things in controlled environment, Saturn, where you can make mistakes and it's not hurting anybody, and you can learn from those mistakes to improve it. So if you're going to be a sports person, usually you've played with teams in high school and grade school and high school, and you built up to, you've had some team experience, and then if you get good, you're much more prepared to deal with a professional team. Same way we're involved in it, same way anything we do, we have to gain, so there's two cycles. One, we have to build up experiences so we know about that, and then we can use our understanding then to guide that energy and accomplish something. To use that energy and accomplish something. So you can go learn Tai Chi or martial art, or any type of movement, you're learning to learn Pilates, anything. You can get the form of that down in a short time. It'd be putting the energy in, But really, in a martial art, you can know the form. It's going to take you 2 or 3 years to do it enough times before you begin to see the wisdom in the breathing properly and not being aggressive and not forcing the moves, being able to get the smoothness. But many people get the energy and they want to try fighting, they want to try to do things before they're even ready for it. So when you have any competition, Mars is going to have a winner and a loser. And much of that competition isn't just about who's the strongest. It's usually about who's trained the most or who's most deserving to be in that place, who's done the work to get there. But sometimes it's done by corruption or by other things, and these are all testing the Jupiter, what's right or wrong understanding, what's right or wrong actions. You can't expect that you can expect a certain noble competitive philosophy in a sports team or an army. You can't expect philosophical deliberations when you're in a very aggressive, active situation. But when you're in a proper philosophical situation, you can expect to get advice to calm down your anger and temper and not incur more negative experiences than is needed. So this is how it runs around. One, you're building up experiences that develop your understanding. Two, you're living with the understanding you are, making more experiences. And At what point in our life is our understanding ever proper or ever good or ever divine? Whew. It's usually relative to some level or another, and our actions keep us at that same level. I mean, it used to be people were stuck at a certain job all their life. Nowadays, with the internet and everything, people are changing jobs 4 or 5 times in a lifetime, different careers. But that means a lot of training. As soon as you get one career, if you're going to start another, you're going to have to do other education, other things to build up so you become capable and functional and good in that new position. Or negatively, you don't put that energy in and other people get promotions past you. So what's right and wrong in having kids? What's right and wrong in bringing up kids? Did they get the right education? Did you do the right things or the wrong things? Did you stay with a guy when you shouldn't? Did you leave when you shouldn't have? Did you, who's to blame? All of these things are part of, do anything and all of these things that come up. So the most mystical people in the world, they live silently, they live in a cave, they do things nobody notices, nobody cares, and they don't have the same flack, and they can get up to other types of philosophy or other types of understanding. However, there are people in the middle of the war, in the middle of battles, who, by seeing all intensity, all the challenges in life, begin to wake up and develop a high philosophy from seeing the futility of desire and anger, but also learning how to guide your actions to be more right than wrong, to align with the right rather than the wrong, or the good rather than the bad. Well, this is the puzzle of Jupiter. Can't define it. You can just run into it. And each of these things, as soon as I say it, there's a puzzle. Well, what's this? You can reflect on it a little bit. Just sleep on it. You'll see how you did it. When you're working on your worksheets, you're looking for specific things. So I'm pulling you in to have made these specific judgments about it and look and see how it is, so that when you're hearing these things, you can begin to see, there's another level to understand. With Jupiter, there's always another level of understanding. Always you can refine your understanding, or clarify it, or embellish it. But sometimes we embellish the understanding we have to an embarrassing degree. We're so sure what we know, we want to tell the world, and the world doesn't want to know. In fact, what we're telling may not be worth telling. We don't know that. We learn in time. So behavior and experience is Mars. The understanding of it is Jupiter. The results that you get from this understanding and your use of energy is the accomplishments of your life Saturn. So next week we're going to deal with Saturn. Responsibility, authority, accomplishment, discipline, father, time, and we're going to try and see, we're going to look from there. So what we're doing in the next day was just expanding our awareness of each of these planets and some of the ways it functions and see how they fit to each other, and you got to just absorb it. You can go over, like when I'm teaching, I may have taught this class 10, 20 times over the decades, but I'm learning it each time. So I've had this go over and over and over, and it's become more of a friend to me. And yet still, even knowing these things, I talk about these energies clearly, but I don't have the exact definitions. I've learned to be comfortable with my lack of definition of Jupiter. I've learned to be comfortable with my experiential direction of Mars and its implications, or of Venus. You begin to gain experience at each level of consciousness, and you begin to see through it and see how it functions for yourself and for others. That's where you become a good guide. For an astrologer, it's so important to have a good sense of the knowledge, Mercury, the way the mind works, but really of the morality and principles of Jupiter. This is how you gain your insights. So practicing what you preach, accomplishing something, following it through, getting it done, this is more Saturn stuff. So next, I think I'm about done. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're close. So just sleep on this, and it'll settle. We got 3 more runs. We got Jupiter in the houses, and we got the aspects. But then we'll start to see how these things work at different levels, what to get from whatever. But when you don't have someone's time of birth, you don't have the houses, but you still have all this information of the signs and how they're affecting the attitude of that planet. Incredibly useful. Even without knowing someone's time of birth, just by knowing their day and year of birth, you've got this. It's enough to work with. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you. And I'll see you next week, and we'll deal with grumpy old Saturn and how it can be good. Today we've dealt with jovial Jupiter and how it can be bad. So hopefully it'll balance out next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.